Hey, it's Uvalde Radio. It's Robert Miguel. Really excited to talk to our next guest. We saw him a few months back at the Uvalde Grand Opera House. He is back for more. Hopefully you will be too. On the phone, William Lee Martin. Welcome, sir.
Wow, what an intro.
Yeah, I'm a hype man. Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, how's the home studio? Are you home studio in it?
Home studio, and it's good. I had it before pandemic, but you know what? It's apparently the way to go now in 2021, right? Everybody's working from home.
Yeah, and nobody's wearing pants anymore. That's the amazing thing. Nobody wears pants.
You know me well. Very good. Well, Mr. Martin, we're excited, man. You're coming back to Uvalde, Texas this Saturday, April 10th. Now, before we get all into your new act, your new set of comedic stuff, let's talk about your last visit. You were here a few months back, actually kind of in the midst of the pandemic, so I'm sure you got a cool story to tell about your visit here. What was your impression of Uvalde?
Well, obviously, I loved it so much that I wanted to come back. You know, it's and I mean that. What a great theater. And I'm a Texas boy anyway, fifth generation Texan, and I just love the small town there on the square and everything else. And there's not a bad seat really in the entire the entire opera house there, and just great people. Caitlin and her husband and everybody gets involved, and we were like, let's go back, man. And we were wondering if it's too soon, and hopefully not. Hopefully a lot of people want to come out and see the show.
No, I think you've generated a good buzz, and for those who missed, they will not miss the opportunity this time again Saturday at the Opera House. But I was just pleased as punch. I follow you on Facebook, and you do those kind of pretty regular Facebook videos, and it was just so neat to see you doing a little live video from our Uvalde Grand Opera House stage. Just really kind of cool when you see somebody, like a celebrity like yourself who's out there touring the world, seeing places right here in our little hometown, doing a live check-in from someplace I'm very familiar with. So what did you think about the theater in general? I mean, you got backstage, saw the cool little, stage lights and.
No, they said it was haunted. So that always makes me intrigued, because I don't know if it's always, my wife loves those kind of shows like Ghost Hunter and everything else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, honey, all they do is go, what was that noise? Never mind. What was that noise? Never mind.
Right.
So you're watching people do absolutely nothing for 35 minutes. So, but I do love a good haunting and a good haunting story. And they say that particular theater is haunted, which is kind of fun.
You're right about those ghost shows, because it's like they carry around a camera and some kind of Ghostbusters pack. And they're supposed to, convince us that there's some kind of paranormal activity going on. And we eat it up, man. It's good stuff. Well, Caitlin and Camille have done a great job of kind of pushing that Uvalde, iconic folklore here, too. So, ask them when you take the next tour, if you're out there listening, about the ghosts in the Uvalde Grand Opera House. Now, it's going to be a live one. You're going to be out there performing, and you've got a new tour thing. It's is it All-American Mutt? Is that what you're calling it?
Yeah, so it's funny, during the pandemic, so I used to do this bit, still do, about this lady who got a job saying that she was one thing, but she was another. And I always said that, now we have DNA testing, and I never took the DNA test myself. And I was like, you know what? I want to find out exactly who I am during the pandemic. My mother had always told us that we were part Native American. And I did the Ancestry.com, and my brother, 13 countries showed up. And not one Native American in it. So my family, apparently, my ancestors slept with everybody but the Indians. And I looked and I was like, oh my God, I'm a mutt. I'm a true mutt. And I think most of us are mutts. And physically I'm a mutt. Really, politically I'm a mutt. And so we started talking about it, and I was like, you know what? I just want to be the All-American Mutt Comedy Tour and let people come out and see what our similarities are versus the division that really is in the country right now. And then so we put all that politics behind and aside, and we just come out and try to bring you a gut-busting kind of fun show.
I know that the catchphrase Caitlin at the Opera House likes to use is that you're doing like adult comedy without the adult language, which I think is a pretty good kind of catchphrase to advertise what you're doing. And of course, you've been associated with the blue collar comedy group guys, did some touring with those guys. So that's kind of where you live. But where's your material going, these days? Is it kind of still there in that kind of good old boy heartland, kind of Southern fried?
I think that it's really just built in real life experiences. The things that I think people laugh at the most are the things that they can relate to the most. And so we really try to stay in that. If it happened to me, it becomes a funny story. And so we kind of live in that whole world. And people really, when the pandemic started, we had about 40,000 followers on Facebook. And now, 10 months later, with the bits that we put out and the different stuff that we've done, we have about 500,000 followers. It's just exploded, and I've been doing this for 25 years, and it's funny, on social media, they all think that I'm an overnight success story.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's a long night.
I've been doing this a long time.
Well, man, I've been saying this for a while, that there has been, if you want to call it, a silver lining of the pandemic, in that it kind of turned entertainment upside down. Even like, say, for instance, in the music world, all the big headlining acts, the big names that went out with a full production, a stage, a crew, a rig or two, those people could not work. So all the independent, singer-songwriters, independent artists really got a chance to flourish, whether they're playing cafes, diners, sports bars. And then, of course, like you said, growing the audience online. And obviously that translated into the comedy world too. What would you say, if you had to say that you got a good joke out of the pandemic, what would that be? Not to spoil your whole show, but do you have something that kind of stands out?
Oh, yeah. The only thing that, first of all, my marriage and I, my wife and I, our marriage is not built on me being home 7 days out of the week.
Right.
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 We had a perfectly good marriage by me being gone. Right. And we used to joke all the time, I'm ruining a good marriage by coming home.
Right.
And so we were very worried about whether or not, we were even going to like each other, being, together every day. And I have to admit that I've fallen deeply in love with my wife again through this thing. That's a positive thing. We're best friends. That's a positive thing. But, oh, my God, Robert, she chews so loud. I mean, I never knew it. I was not home enough to be annoyed by the haka, 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 haka. And one day I finally went, Michelle, stop. And like a boss, she got up, went to the pantry, got out croutons, and stared at me like we were in prison and I was about to get shanked. Just stared and chewed them loud with her mouth open, just haka, haka, haka. And we knew exactly who was running this household at that point.
That's nice. That's great stuff. Again, we're talking to William Lee Martin. He is performing this Saturday, April 10th, at the historic, beautiful Uvalde Grand Opera House, the second oldest functioning theater of its kind in the great state of Texas. Been around since 1891, and we will have William Lee Martin there for the second time in a year. So, man, we're totally excited about the show. Get your tickets at uvaldeoperahouse.org, or get more details at William's website, which we'll go over in a minute. But, hey, I want to talk to you about this because last time we spoke, before your last show, I've seen your material online, and I'm a fan, but I didn't quite make the connection. And you were cool enough to put up kind of a timeline on your bio via Twitter. And I just realized you used to call in on a J.D. Ryan's show, and you used to work at 93.3 The Bone. Dude, I used to work mornings at The Bone like in the mid-2000s, I guess probably after your crew left.
Right. Also, you were there before they turned it into Chahano Classic music or whatever they went to. They changed formats about 9 times since The Bone. But yeah, it was me and Donovan Lewis and a guy named Bo Roberts, and we had the largest. We got our ratings, and folks that are listening might not even know what ratings are, but ratings are how you get paid and as a radio show. We had our largest ratings ever. The next day we celebrate. The next day we come in, and the program director goes, I got to thinking. And he made all these changes, and 6 months later we were all out of a job.
that, hashtag radio life,
Radio life. That was the last time I was in radio life.
But it's interesting because, we kind of ran in the same circles. You worked with J.D. Ryan. J.D. worked with Russ Martin for years. And I was doing, everywhere from overnights to middays and afternoons at 97.1 The Eagle for I was there for 12 years, and then ended up at the Bone. I heard your stuff, you know what I mean? I heard your call-ins and some of your stuff. So, man, that's really cool that you kind of have that DFW radio background. I bet we have some really cool mutual friends.
Yeah, man. It is a small world, and I think that's the one thing that I keep getting out of the whole, COVID thing is that life is fleeting. It's a small world, and you better start enjoying it,
Well, very good, man. Well, let's talk some more about, some other career highlights, man. Like I said, if you go to William Lee Martin's Twitter, you've got a timeline of some really, really cool stuff. I don't want to rehash the whole thing. But, man, for those who are brand new to, give us some highlights. We talked about the blue collar comedy. You've done some pretty cool gigs with, some country stars. Just kind of, give us a sample of what you got.
Sure. I've been doing comedy for 25 years now. This is actually my 25th year of comedy. And I was the first guy to sign with the management team with the Blue Collar Comedy Tour when they exploded. So there was a management team that formed, and I was the first comic that they signed after they signed the Blue Collar guys. And then they put me out on tour with folks like Brad Paisley and Rascal Flatts on the CMT Most Wanted tour, and then I got to co-host the George Strait festival in San Antonio.
Wow.
In front of 75,322 people, which will be slightly more than we will have at the Uvalde Grand Opera
But
House.
just barely.
It was one of my favorite memories of all. They came to me and they said, Bill, we're out of time, so your last set, you can't do your last set of comedy. And I'd been, if you remember the festival, they'd have 10, headlining acts before Mr. Strait came out. And I was like, great, man, I've been out of comedy for an hour now. and they said, I don't know if it's true, but they said Mr. Strait feels bad about it, and they'd like for you to, go out and introduce him to the audience. Normally we run a video, but you're going to go out and do it. And, man, I had one outfit left. I had a George Strait yellow button. I remember like yesterday. I had a button-down shirt. I had Wrangler jeans back then, starched up. Back then I used to wear them so tight when I farted, it looked like a mouse run down my leg. Right? And then I put on my George Strait Resist All hat, and, man, I couldn't grow a beard or a mustache back then. And I looked like George Strait when I walked out there. And I know the audience thought I was that guy because the flash bulbs just everywhere, right?
Wow.
And that's back when you had to send off your film.
Yep.
So kids now, they don't even understand that.
No, they don't.
On their phone. Yeah. Back then you had to send it to a photo booth and, 8 days later see if you took a good picture. And that's why you didn't take pictures of hamburgers and stuff.
So true, man.
27 exposures, mister.
Well, we're looking forward to the show this Saturday. I did want to just ask you one more thing, because when I read that Twitter, it mentioned your background in advertising, and one thing that I find really intriguing about you is that you're probably about my age. You're not a young guy. But you really embrace the technology, the YouTube, the Facebook Lives, even TikTok, which, most men over 40 wouldn't even touch that. So how does all that, the advertising background play into what you do and how you're kind of self-made?
Well, I hated writing advertising, as a matter of fact, and I did it out of college until I was 30 years old. But I realized that was just part of my journey. That especially when you first start, you don't have a team of marketing people.
Yeah,
you have to do that stuff yourself, and to write a press release and all those things really, really mattered. But we just now got on TikTok, but I'm old enough that I still call it the TikTok.
Right.
And but we've got it just went crazy. The whole we keep putting videos up and they just keep going viral on TikTok, which is strange. And but it's not anything. My dad's 82. He's on Facebook, which cracks me up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because he puts his political stuff on there, and until he got Facebook, I never knew he even knew about politics.
Right. Yeah. Your dad's probably a lot like my mom and dad, too. They got on that thing just for politics, just to impart all their wisdom to the rest of the world. But
exactly.
Well, very good, man. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you and getting caught up. Anything else we need to know about the big show coming to town this Saturday?
Just go grab some tickets. It's there'll be an opening act, and then myself, and it's great seats. There are going to still be some social distancing in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're requiring a mask to get to your seat, or asking you, not requiring. Just check the website.
Right, sure. But, it's going to be a great show no matter what. Tickets are on sale now at uvaldeoperahouse.org. And let's go ahead and do a call-in. We'll take our third caller, 830-407-5137. And the third person to call in will get a pair of tickets to see the show this Saturday, William Lee Martin in concert, live at the Uvalde Grand Opera House. William, let us know where we can find all your particulars online and stuff.
You go just WilliamLeeMartin.com. WilliamLeeMartin.com.
And you can find the TikTok there, right?
You can find the TikTok, you can find the Twitter, you can find the Facebook, and more importantly, you can find a link to buy those tickets. They're only $20 for the general admission reserve seats, and I think there's a pair of VIP left, maybe. So those are $30 tickets. But yeah, $20, cheap, good laugh. It's about a 2-hour show.
Well, we are so excited to have you back in town again. Looking forward to seeing you down there. And thanks again for spending a few minutes with us, William. We appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, bud.
All right, it's going to wrap it up here. And again, we're taking caller 3, 830-407-5137. That wraps it up here with William Lee Martin on Uvalde Radio.